Greetings travellers, that's me Frank back again. Sorry it took too long for me to resume my book reviews. I was just moving around my green screen and things like that and sorting out my rooms, my recording room to make it better. But I'm back now and I'm going to continue doing my book reviews. I'm also doing stuff like Let's Plays and things like that as well. I'm doing a Let's Play of Cyberpunk 2077 at the moment. If you wish to see more of that, let me know. I'm also going to start doing a series on RPG video games. I'm starting early in the 80s and moving up, so I'm going to do stuff like The Bard's Tale and Might and Magic, things like that. Anyway, speaking of Cyberpunk 2077, I'm bringing to you another book review, and this time I'm going to I'm going to be doing Cyberpunk 2020. Very good book, a very good RPG. I do have a PDF of Cyberpunk Red, except I'm trying to get my hands on the main book so I can read it properly and do a proper review of that in the future. From what I've played, Cyberpunk Red, terrific game. I like the lore, I like the fact that you have to like jack in at certain points now as opposed to you can do it go around the world, like Cyberpunk 2020, because the internet's filled with deadly ISIS and things like that. And I also like the fact that the reason why it's called Cyberpunk Red is because of all the nuclear wars and stuff like that that's left the sky red. But covering 2020. Right, well first off, what is Cyberpunk? Cyberpunk is a subgenre of science fiction, such as Ghost in the Shell, Blade Runner, Johnny Mnemonic, things like that. It is a dystopian setting where governments have taken over as opposed to, well, not governments, sorry, corporations have taken over as opposed to governments. So for example, it could be like Amazon have taken over and actually run their part of the world. This part of the world could be run by Google and etc, etc. However, well, these corporations are running, people that obviously don't get votes anymore because obviously at the moment you have the betting of stakes. So if you're the CEO of a company, you're better off than those living out on the streets. To counteract this, people have started adopting cybernetics, so they can have cybernetic arms to be stronger, they can have cybernetic lungs to breathe underwater, they can have a cybernetic heart, they can have cybernetic legs to jump further, stuff like that, cybernetic eyes to see in the dark, and so on and so forth. They obviously rebel against the corporations, hence the term punk. So, Cyberpunk. Again, if you wish to divulge into Cyberpunk further, I might suggest you read William Gibson's books such as Neuromancer, Johnny Mnemonic and things like that. And then obviously watch movies like Blade Runner, Judge Dredd. The new one, not the Sylvester Stallone one, that was just cheesy. And if you've got time, Ghost in the Shell. All very Cyberpunk movies and books for you to view at your leisure. Anyway, on to the game. The game is set in the Cyberpunk universe. It is set in a place called Night City. Night City is basically Los Angeles. There are other splat books with other cities, including like European cities and even London, places like that. However, the main core rule book covers Night City, as it does in the game 2077. The big thing to note is, outside of these cities, think of it again like Judge Dredd, outside these cities is basically a nuclear wasteland. So in the city you've got corporations running everything, keeping everything ticking over, and outside in the wasteland it is just a wilderness and it's the strongest survive. Think Mad Max. So you obviously get different classes. I'm going to go through them for you now. The drawing in these are amazing, by the way. I haven't really seen much of the new book yet. Obviously I'll read it and let you know. So you've got Rocker Boys, who, if you play 2077, Johnny Silverhand, Rocker Boy. Play music, rebelling against the system. Yeah. Rebel rockers who use music to revolt, fight authority. And then you have Solo. Solos are your fighters, your street samurai, is the common parlance for them, but they're basically your big hulky fighters, strapped to their knives with guns and cybernetics, and hired assassins, bodyguards, because the soldiers, as it says in the book. After that you've got net runners. Net runners are fun. This is what I generally play as if I ever play. Think Lawnmower Man, getting your thing, jacking into the internet and running around the internet causing trouble, hacking into government sites and stealing information for money, that type of thing, for headies as they're called in the game, or Eurobucks. So cybernetic computer hackers. You then got techies who they're more like engineers fixing mechanics such as bikes, cars, hardware, drones, that type of thing. Renegade mechanics and doctors. You then got medias who are basically journalists. So you can have different campaigns based on what classes everyone plays. Cops, yeah, that's right. Every corporation has their own cops. You've also got government cops as well. Corporates, says on the tin, corporation guys who basically run things from their ivory tower. Fixers, who are talky guys. They're the guys that cut deals for your team, making to try and get the best deal for your bang for your buck, basically. And then you've got nomads. Nomads think Mad Max, live out in the wastelands. Everything they have is built by themselves. So they build their own cars, they build their own weapons, they build their own armour, they build everything, or they steal it. Yeah, Mad Max basically. So yeah, depending on what classes get picked, depending on the way the game. So for example, if I had a group like a corporate, a couple of solos, and a net runner, I'll run a corporate style story around like assassinations or espionage or another corporation, something like that. If I've got a couple of nomads and a solo one, then I'll run like more of a Mad Max style adventure. It's depending on the classes, dependent on the GM really needs to think on his feet to try and create the best story for the characters involved, because if you've got like nomads and stuff like that, you're not really going to run a corporate style adventure, whereas if you've got corporates, you're not really going to go into the wastelands. It's a basic system as well. It is basically you get a certain amount of points. You put the points in, well, for starters you get stats, and you roll a d10 for all those stats, and then you get your skills. You get a certain amount of points to put in your skills. And then if you want to do something like, for example, climb a wall, then you would roll d10, and you'd add your reflex and your athletics together, and then that'll be a total score. Try and climb the wall. Very simple, so simple. To make things more interesting when building the character, you've also got a thing called a life path. This is tables that you roll on to try and build your character. So, for example, you might have. Excuse me. For example, you might have dress and personal style on your roll, and you roll a 2, so it'll be blue jeans, long and ratty hairstyle, and affectations of mirror shades. You can roll for ethnic origins, you roll for family ranking, family trait, so on and so forth, and it just allows you to build your character. You don't get a certain amount based on, you do get a certain amount based on your class to start off with, but it changes depending on your special skill. So for example, you'll find it in the pages here. So special skill for say Rocket Boy, or here it is. For example, corporate, they have resources, so they've got a resource of 4. You check the table and it'll say, right, resources of 4 equals this amount of money, and that's how much money you've got to start with before you start the adventure. And with that you buy your weapons, your armour, and all your wonderful cybernetic toys. And yes, there is a thing called a Mr. Stud sexual implant, which is a giant metal dick. But yeah, you can buy blades in your arms, rocket launcher arms, flamethrower arm, you name it's probably in here. This is just in the main, but you've also got like the Chromebooks as well, which adds a lot more. Have your like your cyber deck wide into your arm, so you can just jack into the whatever to go to the net. It's very simple. The one that's really tricky and still can't get my head around is doing the net running. I know people that can pull it off really well. Me, not so much. I know how it works, but there's a lot of times I have to refer to the book just to just to see how something works. However, again, it's really fun. It is basically activate programs to do all this, and yeah. A few ventures in here as well to get you going if you really want to use them. Overview of Night City tells you everything you need to know. Excuse me. Yeah, terrific. It is a really good book. Character generation might take a bit long because obviously the life path and building your character that way, unless you want to do it yourself. So for first timers it can be difficult. Also, first time GMs might find it a bit tricky as well, depending on, because they might have set up a corporate mission and suddenly in the party they've got 2 nomads and a solo and a techie. So then they've got to think of another mission for, another campaign for them to do. But generally, all in all, if you really want to get into Cyberpunk and you really want to take part in stuff like Blade Runner and Ghost in the Shell and things like that, Judge Dredd, then yeah, pick up a copy. I don't know how much it is now. I picked up mine. Mine was quite expensive. Mine was about 50 quid, so about $75. That was because obviously it's a rarity. It was printed in, it was printed in 1997 or something. Yeah, 1993. So yeah, rarity if you can get your hands on it. My suggestion is to go through Drive-Thru-RPG and try and get a PDF and then print it out if you really need a copy to hold. Because again, these are like starting to become collector's items. Like I said, I got mine about a year ago and it was 50 quid, so quite expensive. Obviously it'll be a lot more now because the Cyberpunk 2077's out, so it'll start to become more of a collector's item. So yeah, my advice, get to Drive-Thru-RPG, and if they've got it in stock, buy the PDF and then print it off if you really need to. Okay, I can't wait for Cyberpunk Red to come. Well, Cyberpunk Red's already out, but I can't wait to get my hands on a copy. However, talked to my friend, he's getting a couple of books for me as it is, and I don't really want to overload them, so I'm going to wait until those are coming, then obviously I'll harass him afterwards, see if he can give me a copy of Cyberpunk Red. But yeah, if you can get it, play it. Obviously, if you're a GM, plan 3 or 4 games in advance, not just the one, because again, you don't want to have a Nomad Mad Max style adventure set out and everyone's gone corporate and fixers and techie and net runners where it's impossible to jack in the wasteland. But yeah, if you can get a copy, get it, play it, and have fun. I would highly recommend it. It's a good game. It's a good game if you want to do Cyberpunk. If you want to go away from the fantasy and medieval stuff of magic and castles and stuff, and you just want a down, dark, gritty game, then Cyberpunk's the game for you. Anyway, so yeah, that's my thing. I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to say, stay safe, keep strong, and adventure on. Actually, it wasn't too bad.